It is the transfer window. It's the first summer transfer window we've actually done in this entire save so far. We have an insane amount of squad overhaul and a complete rebuilding job essentially to begin today with a budget, but not the largest budget. Let's see how we handle that. As always, if you have been enjoying the series, I really would appreciate it if you hit the like button. That would be fantastic. If we get 300 again, that would be really, really nice as well. I do apologise for the lack of a video on Monday. I had some massive computer issues you would have seen on the community page. I realise that sort of doesn't always show up in your feed, but things seem to be back to normal. In fact, if anything, better than they were before now. So that's kind of nice. Hopefully we should be smooth sailing from here on out. But there's no beating around the bushes today. This is our current squad. This is what we've got to try to build into a team that can win a Danish league title. Is it going to happen this season? No. Not a chance in hell. I think really our goals for this year just needs to be this. I think the current squad in its current state is good enough to be a championship group team. I think top 6 in this league is very much already within the wheelhouse of the squad we currently have, as we saw to the way that we were playing towards the end of the season, and the fact that we were able to win that incredible playoff match in order to get into Europe anyway. So despite coming 7th, we still got Europe. It would be nice to get to the Conference League group this year just for extra cash, and I think we're going to have to prioritize it in a way because of that, because we're not going to be able to build this team purely based on league winning prize money, I don't think, or league qualifying prize money. It's just unlikely. This video is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the ultimate men's hygiene bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SYC at manscaped.com. Now, we've all been there, freshening up for a big night or a cup final, those of us that take this game very seriously, and had ourselves a little accident in the process. But worry not, your confidence can now be sky high with Manscaped. Inside this package, you will find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. The Lawnmower 4.0 is absolutely outrageous. It's waterproof, it has a 400K LED spotlight. You might not think that matters. Trust me, it does. And you thought that was good? Then there's the Weed Whacker. Men of my age and above, maybe even younger, start to get hairs in places that you maybe don't actually want them to be visible. Well, say goodbye, because this is the answer. The Manscaped boxers, which I've got to say, genuinely, the most comfortable boxers I've ever worn, and I'm not a man that takes underwear comfort lightly. And this extremely stylish travel bag. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code SYC at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code SYC at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. And having had a little look through what we've got available at the team at the moment, I suspect that there's several areas that we very much need to focus on when building depth and also building quality, because I've noticed in a lot of the time when I was reaching onto my squad to the bench, there was definitely just nobody there in certain positions. The most important one of those was the centre of midfield. We have 2 incredibly hard-working central midfielders in this tactic, and I feel like you need enough to rotate around that a little bit more, and we simply haven't had it. When you look at the players that are actually sat in those roles right now, we mostly had to rely on Matos and Ilsa, but they were often farmed out into other positions because of the sheer lack of depth. Right wing back's another issue. I would like another striker, but if we have to go into the season with Berge Hansen and Carlson as our only strikers, then it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I would like another centre-back as well, maybe even 2, but with only just shy of £1 million to spend and not the greatest amount of wage budget, I do think it's going to be quite difficult, and loans are going to be very, very important. I think free transfers, loans, and if we can find some absolutely cheap bargains, maybe to start building this team for the future, then I think that's the direction we have to go. I think the first thing we're going to do, set up some scouting long-term focuses, or short-term focuses technically, but with like a 3-month window on them for a couple of positions, and then just see what's happening. Now, obviously, our scouts have been consistently looking at players over the past sort of 6 months to try to get us some guys in the pipeline already, and of course, they'll be coming through our scout reports over the next couple of weeks, so we can take a little look at those and see if there's anybody in there that just tickles our fancy and might be the next Suniyuska great. That's the hope. Let's get cracking. And of course, I should make things clear. This is what we're actually working with this season. So in actuality, our budget is really more like $500,000 when you consider that we're going to have to move some of this money into wage budget in order to even be able to sign. You can see that there's, given some of the money that some of our players are on, it's going to be a tough summer, and I suspect that loan signings and freebies are going to be absolutely crucial. So we're going to have a look at the freebie market actually right away, because it is June. No, it's start of July, isn't it, that the freebies happen, I think. So with some good news, we have just got 2 new sponsors for a year, which will equal over £1 million in extra revenue this season, and a away kit sponsor of 700 grand for a season. That's kind of mad. Our main kit sponsor is only paying us 400 grand a season. So hell yeah, on both of those. That's just extra cash out of nowhere. And it'll offset our, literally, it will directly offset our tax bill that we've just been presented with of £1.3 million. So that's basically paid for our tax bill with all those extra sponsors. I was getting worried for a second. Scout reports come through. Now, obviously, that might look like it's just full of gems. And obviously, the reason it's like that is because... So this is what I've been doing. I know I've explained this before. But every time we get a scout report through, and that player has got even anything in that 5-star potential, not if it's full 5 stars, even anything down to, like, these, I still count them. I'll get a 1-week scout report on them, and I just keep getting 1-week scout reports on them, because if they fall below that threshold eventually, or unless they've got really high CA, like some of these guys apparently have good ability as well, then you can just remove them from your scout reports list. But then over time, you start to build up this nice list of players that could be very, very interesting for you, and this is how you find people like Joe Pritchard of the New Saints. I feel like if we could pick up this guy insanely cheap, he would be an... There's no way that the value of the deal wouldn't be worth it if he was available for the price that he's currently available for. Because to me, the guy has 12 Welsh caps. There's no way that he would be not worth at least a couple of £1 million upon joining us. Surely. I mean, they've accepted a bid of £14,000. I probably could have gone lower, honestly. But for £14,000, every one of us would do this deal at this point at 14 grand. Even if he wants like 10k a week in wages, I still think it'd be worth it for £14,000. And once again, one of the things as well about having scouts with good knowledge of Africa is you find these kind of cheap deals. Now, admittedly, you'll have to make sure you've got African players turned on in your database, i.e. the players, not the clubs. That's how you find them. But there's this guy, Georges Eboule. I know he's a right-sided player, but actually, he could do I mean, look at him there. In that role. And again, if he was the sort of guy that could be available for £14,000, big matches, consistency, okay physicals, great mentors, lovely technical ability again, but a few of these sort of cheapo signings that could absolutely stack our squad out with talent at the very least could allow us huge sell-on value for some of these guys, for being the guys that actually bring them into European football. And I think that could be absolutely massively important. It's a release clause. I didn't even realise it. It's a release clause of £13,000. Imagine if we snagged like 3 outrageous players for less than 100 grand combined. That would be enormous. But this is why you do a lot of this sort of stuff outside of windows. So when you come to the window, you're prepared and ready to go straight off the bat. You don't have to dick about trying to scout brand new players. We'll still be doing that, because there's bound to be some new guys that come through these reports. But for the most part, I feel like a lot of the players that we may well sign today are already in these reports, and that's exciting. He wants a release clause in his contract, which is a little bit annoying, but we'd see how much the release clause would be, I would say. The wage is fairly high. We can't do anything with international clauses, but there's something about him that just makes me want to sign him. See if that works. It actually does. So we've got a regular starter instead, and the language clause usually can offset anything else. So we hopefully won't get a release clause in here now. I've got to be super careful with what my assistant's about to offer in here. So I'm going to offer him a bit less than that, but we'll just see what he wants. Come on, please don't want like 15 grand. 10. Oh, release clause. Okay, right, we can work with this. December 2038. It's not a great contract, but I do wonder if the sell-on value alone would be enough. And I know it's a high wage, but he's probably very good. And I just feel like long-term, and we do have to think a little bit long-term already, he would still probably be a good idea for us. Particularly if we're not going to be spending less money on the transfer fees. We actually can afford a bit more in wages for once. I think he'd be a bit more reasonable. Has he got any caps for Cameroon? No. Surprisingly, no. Which we can work with. He can speak really good English. Okay, that's fine. He's gone for regular starter as well. So if we could get him somewhere in the 2 to 3k mark. So 3 dead. It's a essentially 3-year contract dead out. I think that's okay for us, really. I like him. I think for the price we're paying, I think he'd really strengthen our team. It would also allow Yallen to play deeper sometimes as well. So I think that would actually help us out with our central midfield. Don't even have to sign central midfielders to strengthen our central midfield. We could just sign other players that would allow our other guys to be more focused in their actual positions. And I think for these kind of prices, these guys are absolute steals, right? Surely. I'm still going to put a bid in because I think we can get him super cheap. Has actually cost us a little bit more than I was expecting. It's £42,000 with another 50k after 50 league games, which is going to be at least 2 to 3 seasons. So I'd like to feel like that's kind of, we're betting on our future with that. But still, for £40,000, I think he could be a good left wing back option for us if we retrain him. And I feel like these are the types of signings, these and frees, and then we can just get some loans and some free transfers on top. And we're good to go. The transfer window isn't even open yet. I want to take a punt on him because, again, I think the value is there for us. Another batch. Now, obviously, you see there's a lot of numbers. We just can't afford players that are on this kind of level, but it's nice to know that they exist because I feel like I want to keep them around in our scout reports because in a few seasons, they might well be the types of players that we can exactly afford. I did this exact same thing with Tromsø, which is why I think once we finally did get some money, it was so easy for us to just pluck these signings out of nowhere. Okay, so we have a slight problem. Omar Karanadze's contract is up at the end of the season. End of the year calendar. Nordsjælland are interested in him. He's currently on £5 a week here, I think, with us at the moment. Yes, I think our best bet might actually be to... They're interested now. If they put a bid in, sell him this window, because there's no way I can afford to extend his contract, and certainly not on these terms, which is what he's desperate for. I think we just let him go in this window for like $500,000 if we can. Maybe put a clause in there, something cheeky on the end for Nordsjælland. And then, because we're replacing him with a Boulay anyway, essentially. And I think overall it would kind of balance out the two. Unrealistic and won't accept it. It's literally the price that we just got quoted. Let's see what he wants as fair price. So £500,000 isn't fair, but 475 is fair. Omar, you're being pedantic. Shut up. First things first, Georges Eboulé is in. And I've got to be honest with you, I'm very pleased with that signing. I really, really am. I think he's great. For how much we paid for him, I think why is he worth that amount? That's really weird. I think we might have to progress it there to see his new value. There's no way that a player that's just signed for us on a 3-year contract of that kind of quality is worth that amount. I think that's his previous value sort of riding over. Point is, we've paid virtually no money for this chap, and I'm more than happy to do that deal. We'll get him training in that central midfield role, but I feel like he's just kind of Karanadze, but better, really, and also on less money than Karanadze. And if we could make £400,000 out of selling Karanadze at the same time and end up with a better player, I'll take that. That's some stonks. So one other player I was looking at a little bit is Steinar Sethamund, who is at Eichholt over in Sweden, although he is Norwegian, actually came through at Levanger. He's a weird one in that he's got fantastic jumping reach, but no heading ability. He's still only 23 years old. He could technically do a job on either side at wingback, and that's what makes him so intriguing to me. Now, £300,000 is not what he's actually available for. He'd be available to sign now. Can cover centre-back. We could train him to play both of the wingback spots, and he's free. I kind of like him a lot, actually. Boom. Here we go. Offers are coming in. No, nothing from Georgiland, but I want to get rid of him quickly. I know there's a wage demand. Wait, that's his entire wage. Who are you? A Georgian club want us to sell... Actually, in fairness, that wage contribution only lasts for the remainder of their current contract with your club, which is 6 months. So it's actually not the end of the world were we to be pushed in a position to do that. I'm going to accept both and hope that he does that one, but we'll see. Okay, so we got our Europa Conference League draw. It's CSKA Sofia of Bulgaria. You'd think that given where we've been, this should be a tie that we were able to get through. Now, it depends what happens after that, and that's not, of course, till well over a month from now. So we should be able to get a squad in a nice condition before then, hopefully. Just noticed that work permits take bloody forever, don't they? Work permit should be received on the 29th of June for the Pritchard deal. That's another 11 days. But more importantly than that, Clotty's one, the 7th of July. Why does it take so long to find a work permit? I mean, it looks like those deals are done, but mother of God. So I found this guy, Silvan Carroll, who's been released by Bordeaux, goalkeeper. I'm looking at selling Yazici because he's desperate to leave. And I feel like we could do with not only a backup keeper to Solberg, but someone that could maybe come through in place of Solberg in a couple of seasons. And I feel like Silvan Carroll could be that guy. Maybe. It's very early days, but he's a completely free transfer at the point, and he wants a release clause of like £5 million, which, honestly, for that kind of money at the moment, I'm all right with. We could always take it out later anyway. But if we were to get this deal done, this would be quite a big deal for us. Omar Karanadze, £400,000 is going to go to Jeonbuk Hyundai. Now, given that in just 8 days, they would have been able to sign him on a pre-contract for free at the end of his deal, for us to get 400 grand and his wages off the bill, or certainly half of his wages for the rest of the season, that for me is a really good piece of business because it's going to free up some extra cash for which we can plow back into the team. Because it was starting to get a little bit tight on the finances, but he's on 5k a week and he just wasn't playing as much as I would have liked. So I think that's a good deal. In worse news though, Steinar Sethamund, the guy I was really excited about, has chosen to join EFK Norrköping over in Sweden in the Allsvenskan. That is a shame because he would have been a really cool player for us to have, a guy that can cover all 3 or all 5 of our backline defensive roles. God damn it, that would have been good. Bayern have got that Oscar Lindstrom guy available for loan, basically for free. I mean, pay his wages, but what a strike force that could be for us. If we could have Lindstrom, Pritchard, Carlson and Steinberger Hansen, that could make a world of difference for us this season. And he's homegrown Danish. That's the other kind of key factor about him, is he wouldn't be homegrown us, but he would count as a homegrown player for Denmark, and that could be super useful for us in terms of European stuff. So I just tried to offer Golem Reza Musavi a new contract again, and now he's not even willing to negotiate with us, and we've now got bids on the table from other clubs for him, and I think we might have to sell him as well. This is going to require a serious rebuilding job. I can already feel it. Because there's so much dead wood that doesn't want to be here, are getting older, not that he's one of them, but are on high wages that want to leave. And we just got to get cash for them up front, I think. Otherwise, we've got no chance. Okay, Joe Pritchard's finally had his work permit approved. He's in. This is a big moment for us, I suspect. I mean, he's not the quickest, but he is pretty bloody good, isn't he? 14 finishing, 30 composure, good dribbling to him as well. He's 6'1", has decent enough heading. His jumping reach isn't fantastic, but I do quite like him. He's got great determination, great flair. Honestly, for the price we've paid, I feel like it's a bit of a no-brainer to sign a guy of this kind of quality for a team like ours, and I think it really doesn't. There's no way that he doesn't strengthen our forward line and give us way more options this season, which we're massively going to need. And I realise it's a high wage, and I feel like his value will increase because it still seems very low considering, but still, I think there's a quality player here, and once he starts putting some numbers up, which I feel like he can do, we've actually got striking options this year, along with Steinberger, Hansen and Carlson. That makes me very happy. And in addition, on the exact same day, Silvan Carroll, the young goalkeeper who will replace Yazici and could potentially replace Solberg long-term, is in as well. I feel like for free, I don't think we can do any wrong with a free transfer of a player of this kind of quality, to be honest. I think he's great. He doesn't even have to be registered for us in the league this season, so he'll be the perfect backup. Could even start. Look at the reflexes. The aerial reach is great. Really high one-on-ones as well, which is kind of good. On the plus side, though, Oscar Lindstrom's in as well. So we've certainly strengthened our strike force. If nothing else, we're going to be able to score a lot of goals this season. It's just a question of keeping them out at the other end. I feel like we've fired ourselves into an incredible position with the goal-scoring threats that we've now attained for this team with Carlson, Stoneberg, Johansson, Lindstrom, and, of course, Newman Pritchard as well. That front four, when they can rotate in and out, are going to be absolutely lethal for us this year, I hope. So I guess we've got that on our side. Jakob Turnerson. I rather like this guy. He was playing for EFK Göteborg. He's been all over the shop with FC Copenhagen. I think we should get him fairly cheap, but we'll have to see what Odense want for him, really. So I've managed to budget it out to 250,000 up front because I feel like he actually is a really solid player. He's Danish as well, which is awesome. I do want to make sure we got some Danish players in this. The problem is they come at a premium and we don't have a lot of cash to build this whole squad around at the moment. And then £100,000 a year for the next 3 years. I feel like we'll earn enough money to pay that off. And again, we have to bet on our future that we're going to be able to achieve things here. And hopefully those will appear like nothing at the time because I do feel like he's a good signing for us. And we need centre-back strength, particularly as I feel like we're going to lose centre-backs this window. I want to try and get a couple of permanents in and try to find a couple of loanees to fill out the rest of those centre-back spots for us. Now that we've got the wage budget available, we may just have to have some loans just to cover us off for a bit. But Danish, if I can. There's a couple of guys that maybe Brøndby that I might be interested in. John Diaz, the guy I showed you earlier, actually. So if we could pick him up on a free transfer, that would be extremely nice. 1.2k a week for John Diaz on a free transfer with no compensation, no nothing, surely. Just taking Aaron de Belder on trial. He was released by Nordsjælland at the end of his contract. He's a centre-back. He is Belgian, but again, he's completely free, and I do wonder if a quality player like this could really strengthen that backline if we are going to lose someone like Musevi. Yeah, we are just, this is going to complete overhaul. I promised that was going to be the case, and I feel like it's still going to, temperamental personality isn't ideal. I don't think it's going to be perfect window for us, really. I think we'll still make a lot of good signings, but I don't think it's going to be in quite the positions we wanted. But I still think that we'll have a decent squad come this season, and it'll be enough to get us through, so we could start to then build around it with a bit more stability once we get rid of the dead wood, and it's been tough. I really think it has. Okay, now we're talking. Lots of players have been released by clubs. And they've all shown up in my scout reports. Oh, dearie me. Is there any Danes in there? There is. Martin Ockholm has been released. 17-year-old left wing-back / centre-back. He could be interesting. I think we have to try to sign him. Released by Midtjylland. 45 appearances for the club. Only 17 years old, and yet he was released. Surely he's the type of guy we've got to pick up, particularly homegrown Danish, but also get him at this age. He'd be homegrown from us as well in a few years. And I think resolute personality. There's a lot of things that I like about this chap, and I think if we can get him nice and early, we kind of have to, right? £300 a week. I mean, yeah, surely. Also found this guy. Svetislav Pavich was released by Zurich on a free transfer. 18 years old again. I think we should try to pick him up too, because, firstly, he's quite good. Also, he's exempt from registration. And in addition to that, I think he would count as homegrown, trained at club if we get him in quickly. And we want a few more of those guys for the future. And I feel like hopefully he's cheap as well. I know we're signing a lot of players, but sometimes they're just there, right? I think we go with that again. £1,000 a week for that. Yes, please. Jakob Turnerson coming in. Lovely stuff. I'm pretty happy with that, honestly. I think he's a really solid centre-back for us. I think he does improve us in that area, and that's important with us losing a few centre-backs. So I'm happy with jumping a bit of money on that, and we get a cool Danish prospect. Okay, so the young Serbian chap decided to join Inter instead. Can you imagine if we'd snuck him out underneath the nose of someone like Inter? It was worth a go, right? Bad news, Martin Ockholm has signed for Rana's instead of us. We're in Europe, and he's chosen to go play for Rana's instead of us. They've offered him way more money and a higher squad status. I just hoped that with the promises we were making to him, that's a couple of players we've now just missed out on that we had potentially really good deals for. That's disappointing, actually, because that's 2 homegrown guys that we could have had, and one was already Danish. That is a shame. Finally here, and I think that might be one of the best decisions we've made in ages. Terry Clotty, permanent transfer, £40,000 from Accra Lions. And he's already worth nearly 2 million quid upon joining us. And that means, of course, that he will be able to play left wing back for us this season and give us a nice bit of backup there. He's very quick. He's got good dribbling. He's got okay crossings. Tackling's not superb, but it's better than Storley. I think that's a really strong piece of business from us. I think we've still made some strong signings in this window. It's just nice to sign a defender there. I'm trying to get a defender over the line as well, a Serbian centre-back, a 6'4" Serbian centre-back from Partizan Belgrade. I really do need to sort this out, though, because I think he'd be the final piece in the puzzle defensively, for now anyway. But it's just about sorting the finances. Me moving that much over there would be enough to get that deal done. And if we got John Diaz over the line too, actually, that'd be another centre-back, and that would really strengthen our back line. Okay, budget's even better now. I was able to drop our continental win bonus pool down a bit to get us a bit more transfer funds, so we should be able to get these transfers over the line now and still have a little bit left actually to go and assess what's left after that. Maybe another centre mid. He's in. Nikita Jokanovic, a 6'4" Serbian centre back from FK Partizan. Solid defensive attributes, great physical, some nice mentals in there as well. I just think he ticks all the boxes. 250,000 up front, rising to potentially as high as 600 over a long, long time. But I still think he's a fantastic player, and I think that we've strengthened our back line, and that's what I really want to do. And if we get Diaz over the line as well and have those three as our back three, suddenly it's like, who are we worried about a little bit? And we still have money to potentially go and find one more centre mid, but it also frees up some of our players. And we still have a bead back. His broken leg is now healed, so he's now back in our squad, can play centre mid and right wing back too, with Ilsa that can play there as well. So it's still looking a bit better for us, I'd say. Okay, so Arsenal have accepted a bid for a loan of Terry Rothwell on 5k a week, which would be much more reasonable than the other guy, I suspect. Well, it just is, isn't it? I think I might do that just to get us one extra central midfield body. He can cover further up as well. He's still very up in the air, but I feel like it's worth a punt for a season, particularly as we still have another space in the squad. So the deal is done for Terry Rothwell, but we have to wait 2 weeks for a work permit. Some of the work permit delays in Denmark are absolutely mental. 2 weeks for that. So we might get Terry Rothwell. I mean, I assume we are. We're just going to have to wait forever, and he's certainly not going to be available for our first game against Esbjerg, of all people, in 3 days. And as for the John Diaz deal, it's just kind of spinning its wheels at the moment. Maybe we get him, hopefully. It's the first day of the season, and I figure this would be the perfect time for us to get us to this point, really, because we've actually, in spite of not actually covering a huge amount of ground in terms of the chronological element of it, because I'm used to the windows being much longer. It's not that these windows aren't long either, it's just that we've managed to get more business done. I think it's just the benefit of being in the same sync as the major European leagues. It allows us a lot of free transfer options, which is really kind of cool, and just more options in general. So we were able to get a lot of business done very early in the window, and I'm very pleased with that. I'll just sort of let's have a little look at what we've actually achieved so far in the window. Obviously there'll be more transfers in the next video as well, I suspect, because I want to get Rothwell over the line. I've just had a look at an Australian guy from CU Academy that could be the next Jesse Rakic, which would be really nice. And of course we've got the John Diaz, the centre back, who may or may not join us on a free transfer as well, which would be really, really cool indeed. But so far the work in this window I think has been exemplary. We've got George Boulay, who was £13,000, Pritchard for 14 grand, Silvan Carroll for free as a backup keeper, and Lindstrom on a loan. Like, those 4 signings right there, I'd have been happy if that was the window by itself, honestly. But also managing to get rid of a few guys like Karanadze for 400 grand, Yazici for £83,000. It's just extra cash that's come in as well. We've not just spent money. And after things have flipped over, of course, Jakob Turnerson for 550. That's the total everything. Clotty for basically nothing as well. Jokanovic in there too. Some money spent there, but of course we've moved Musavi on as well. So I feel like we've got rid of some bad players, or some players that we were never going to be able to keep hold of. And I think we've either replaced them with better players with brighter futures who are younger, and it's just freshened the squad up. I don't think it's done, and I think the next season's transfer window will again be a similar sort of story as we try to pad this team out. I do want to find some more young Danish talent, but now that we've established a bit more of a team that I want, I think we can take our time over the next calendar year to try to find players like the guy that sadly joined Rana's instead of us. But I feel like there's more players out there like him. And remember, we've still got Aaron de Belder on trial as well, the guy that was released by Nordsjælland. So there's another chance potentially, if the money's available, which it may not be, for another outrageous centre-back signing for us too. We could easily move some of that wage budget, that transfer budget that we gathered into wages too, potentially. So all in all today, I think we've done a pretty solid job. Now, it's going to be interesting to see, and everyone was able to be registered. That is the key thing. Everybody is registered for the league squad, so that we've got no players missing. Everybody's also in the Europa League squad, Europa Conference League squad too. So surprisingly, we've actually ended up with a perfect window in many ways. I want to see how the squad lines up though, as we pick our team for the first game against Esbjerg. They'll be out for revenge, but I want to put them in the mud and show this league what we're about in this first game, because all we need to be is top 6 come midway through the season. That's all we have to do this year, and I'm happy, and I think that we will be able to do it, particularly with that strike force. Holy shit. And on a side note, speaking of strikers, I saw a news article come up, it's gone now, that said that Koki Kawamoto was under a £90 million transfer bid from Real Madrid. I can't believe they sold him to Chelsea for £10 million. What were they thinking? 90 million in like 2 years. Crazy. It's almost like we knew he was really good. Get them out, do a selection of ice, and see who that puts into this squad. Now, for me, there's no way that Abule is going to play there. However, I am quite happy to put Yalanen slightly deeper and put Abule there instead. Ilsa to right back for the moment, because Abid can play here. The back line, though, with Gorda, who's the only one remaining from last year, as we lost everybody else, Turnerson and Jokanovic, I think they're good. We've got Caron in goal. He might actually be good enough to start already, you know. And then, of course, Terry Clotty at left wing back too. It's just a better team. Pritchard in there too, but look at the bench. Matos, Lindstrom, Johansson, Storley, Nielsen, Solberg. This team is better in total. It's got more depth and just strength all across the park. Really happy with that, and I think we've even got depth beyond that we could bring in. A little bit less on that side of things, but it could definitely improve. We've still got youngsters. There's a couple of guys that are on international duty with youth teams as well. I'm a big fan of this. It's also worth noting that our net spend isn't even that high on account of us being able to sell a load of players during this window period too, and some of the prices that we've actually paid for people have been remarkably low, particularly that first batch of players that we spent less than 100 grand on. That is some insane business. And I feel like there's more signings out there like that. I really do. Kind of intrigues me, actually, that Odense were actually willing to sell Turnerson to us upon them being promoted to the top flight this season, which is what's just happened, of course. But they were willing to make the deal, and they didn't even seem to want too much cash for him in the grand scheme of things. I think we've got a good deal out of that. Now, how long it's going to take these guys to settle into the system, whether anyone maybe just doesn't fit as much, I don't know. But I'm extremely excited, and I think we could genuinely be I think we have to qualify for Europe again this season. I feel like we're good enough to do so. But it's just going to be, I think 4th place is genuinely a reasonable target for us this year. I think we're definitely up there as far as one of those sides if we can just get ourselves going, see how the new guys settle in. I'm really excited about Carroll as well. I think he could be the future of this team in goal too. Abule dropping really deep there. Yalanen with the ball out wide for Ilsa. Going to be used a lot more out wide this season, but he did a fine job there at times last year as well. Carlson around the side for Ilsa. See if any of the new guys can grab a goal on their debut today. Lovely build up. Ilsa's ball in. Pritchard could get this. He's got a bit of height and apparently it's a foul. I don't think so somehow. Well, it has been awarded. Pritchard wins a foul within a minute of his debut. Who takes penalties for this team now, is my question. Well, it's Abule on his debut, drills it home. Sunyaska 1, Esbjerg 0, and it's Georges Abule on his debut for the club. Both of the debutants linking up in a way, and we already lead in the derby. Pritchard having that extra height, I think, is a real key factor. And Carlson now, he's got to run to his right. Can he find him? Yalanen from midfield now drills the shot, and it's well blocked. I mean, a win in the derby against one of the top 6 from last season would be about perfect for us. At this point, Carlson's header is big and on target. Had a lot of questions about Ulrich Unana Ango, about his nationality. He is French, but I suspect that he's probably got some kind of Gabonese. Wow. Okay, I would not have had Gabonese. That's really interesting, actually. Ango pumping one along, but it should be easily cut out again. It's not, actually. Husum's put it through. Oh, dear. Sharon should have been there. Wow. Oh, my God. Brilliant defending. Goalkeeper, terrible error there, actually, from Carroll. Half time, and we have been fantastic. I know the penalty obviously makes us look good, but we've had chances aside from that. Really, really pleased with the performance in the first half. Abule is looking amazingly good. They're just looking really good at the moment. Matos, lovely ball around the side for Carlson. Slots it, no. Good save again. Clipping it long. Oh, it's gone through. Linden's in. And it's tipped over brilliantly by Carroll. The first action he's really had to take part in today. First save he's made, and it's a great one. Jacobs delivers another one, and it's flicked on target and is saved again by Carroll. Got to be careful here. Don't want to throw any points away from such a good position. And oh, goodness me, what a save from Carroll. We look a bit shaky from these defensive set pieces at the moment, though, but Carroll is single-handedly keeping us in front at the moment, out of nowhere. Jacobs delivers another good ball. And I mean, how many times can we let them have a free shot at goal from a set piece, lads? Come on. That's pathetic. But could Abule put one on the head of Carlson here? And he doesn't. Carlson does it. Christopher Carlson, 2-1 to Sunyaska. Lovely corner from Abule, and we get that deserved lead back again. Anything they can do, we can do better. And obviously, scoring the penalty are there. But he's just done a lot of good things in this match, as it's flicked over this time by Jokanovic, and that will surely see this match out at Sunyaska 2, Esbjerg 1. And there's the final whistle. An opening day victory for us in the derby. And honestly, pretty dominant for the most part in this game. They had that little spell in the second half where they were just getting chances from corners for some reason. And Sharon did actually pretty well to save the ones he did. But in the end, Carlson and Abule's goals give us the victory in the opening day. And performance-wise, really, really good. Happy with that. I think this is a season that we should definitely be getting. I think 4th place should be our aim this season, genuinely. I think, obviously, minimum aim is we get top 6 and see what happens from there. But I think 4th place, I think that we could genuinely be the 4th best side behind the likes of Nordsjælland, FC Copenhagen and Midtjylland. I think we need to be the 4th best team this year, and I think we've got the quality in this squad to do so, particularly with the rest of the window. There's still room for us to bring in a couple more signings. But regardless, I'm very, very excited about what this season could hold from us. I really am. And I feel like Europa Conference League is going to be key. I think we need to try and get to the group stages. That's what the board expect from us. I think we're good enough to do that fairly comfortably, even if we do take a bit of a hit in the league in the meantime. As long as we're good enough to get top 6 this season, I think it should be okay. And I feel like we've still got enough in the tank to make that happen. But we need to get in the Conference League groups because we need that extra cash that we're going to get from qualifying and from winning matches, because that's going to be what's going to fund our attempts at trying to build a squad over the next couple of years. The European football really does come first until we're in a point where I feel like the squad is strong enough to win the league. That's where we have to bin it off entirely, like we did with Tromsø. And I think that worked really, really well. So, if you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you have, I feel like it's actually been a shorter recording session, but I feel like it's still going to be a long video. So yeah, if you have enjoyed it, drop a like. That would be mag-bloody-nificent. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That'd be awesome too. I stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Tomorrow's stream is huge. We have a £60 million budget with Treaty United, and it's a transfer window. Stay tuned for that. Yeah, so I'll see you soon. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.